In this demo, we'll see how Cooper customer support agents can manage inbound requests for customer service and facilitate bookings through our case management system. As part of this workflow, agents are able to manage the case status, escalate the case, or seek expense approvals, which will automatically trigger actions in other systems to ensure quick resolution for our customers.
So we're going to take first step here as our integration specialist and the individuals who are helping design these integrations. We're going to show you later on the business technology side, but as we know, many hands make great integrations. So we're going to start off with that persona and seeing how this integration was set up, how the processes are made, and we'll make a couple of subsequent edits and changes to that so we can see how that works live. So we'll go ahead and get into TIBCO Cloud Integration, TCI, and we'll see a couple of integrations that are already built. These are things that we've already built ahead of time in order to support that the use case that we've been asked to deliver for our business technologist. And these have been running for a little bit, and we have a couple of different states we're going to refer to. The first one we're going to get into is our service request. So here we can see a few different outcomes based on that incoming trigger. We have one set of inputs and multiple paths that can be taken. This is really beneficial because we've simplified that interface. So we're going to start off with our get customers, and here we can see some branching logic. So that's going to come in. It's going to look inside of Salesforce to see if we can find that individual customer. And based on the conditions that are brought back, we can optionally also check into SQL. The results of either of those queries are going to be sent back to that calling service. We have other operations we can perform here, like escalating a case. So this is, instead of receiving data from a location, this is going to post into Slack and let everyone know that there has been an escalation. We can see we have the same approaches for approvals. We can book flights. So lots of different capabilities that are exposed via one singular interface via TIBCO Cloud Integration. We also see that this is live and to publish to the TIBCO Cloud Mesh. So this gives us the ability to push that out against other TIBCO Cloud Integration products that can be leveraged and taken advantage of to take advantage of these complex integrations presented in that simple unified interface. So now we can back out and we'll take a look at our other integration, which was around the approvals. So if we take a look at that, a couple things we noticed that this is in a draft state. So this is something that's still being worked on, but it's been made public. So this means that I can actually hit this from the external world, and I can see here, there's nothing going on here. We're simply logging a message. So it's still actively in development, but it allows me to still work with that for my other systems. So because it's not live, I know I'm not ready for others to use it, and I'm still working on that, but can work on it in tangent with other users on my team. So now that we got the integrations, the complexity covered here, we're going to take a switch and we're going to switch tabs and take a look at our automation capabilities for TCI. That's going to be housed in a different organization. So we're going to switch over to our Cooper Airlines parent org, which is what contains the licensing and my rule and role access to manage that other service. So we're going to go ahead into our automation capability. And we're going to make a quick change to our customer service request case type. So we can go and we can create a new draft to make sure that we're working in not live state, go to our data model, and add a escalation resource here. So I can really easily, as this persona, add new fields, functions, and capabilities to the existing application that my business users are going to take advantage of. So that's been added. Now we can go back to my automation routines and take a look at that escalation path. So now I want to make sure I can bring that individual piece of data up a level. So we can take a look at that form that the users are going to be presented with, and I can bring forth that escalation resource that we've just added. So now that field's been a part of the data model. It's been presented on a form. And lastly, we want to do something with it. So this is the ability for us to invoke those cloud mesh services. I can see a really simplified format of what the inputs are and the outputs. And in this case, I'm going to take that result set and I'm going to push that result back into the new field that I've added. So really simply and easily, I can take advantage of those complex APIs that I've created in this visual format and layer that into my integrations and my automations. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the kind of the orchestration level. So here, pretty lightweight view, but basically I can see that there's some routing that happens. So when that case gets created and then gets escalated, it goes back into queue and allows that to be reprocessed. So really simple for me as a user to build out these light orchestrations of data and build in some automation tasks behind them to support the business needs of the users. And again, this is all really easy to make changes to over time. As we just saw, I added a new field and added it to a web service request within moments. So now that those changes have been made, I'm able to go ahead and test this app. So this is going to validate that I haven't introduced any breaking changes in this draft of the application I've made. I can go through some test cases, or in this case, I can simply validate that opened up, so I'm good to go. I can lock it for publication. One more check on the validations, and then publish that out in my admin view. So really simple tooling in order to create that new draft, make edits to it, test it out, and then upgrade the live application with those changes. So really easy for me as a developer persona to get that out in front of my business users. So now with the business user, we're changing context. Here I can see I'm part of the Cooper Airlines call center agents. I have a different view, different tabs. I'm a different user, even though I sound exactly the same. In this case, we're going to go ahead and create one of those tickets. So we're going to put in our service request data. We're going to get a call from James Matthew, and he is looking for a refund. He's had some issues with some of his flights, and we're going to ask for his member ID. It's going to be 1138, which we'll enter into the form and submit. Now, behind the scenes, this is going to call some of those APIs we viewed earlier in our integration specialist view of the platform and the process. But what we'll see is when we go back into that case, the results of those calls. So remember, we did the get customer call. That's been automatically triggered, and now I can see not only the information around James, I see that he is a gold member, he works at TIPCO, the address information for him as well, so I can verify that he is who he says he is. So I don't have to ask my call center agents to do any extra work. That's all presented to them in real time as they work their case. Now next, we want to do the escalation. So let's say James is particularly upset. He's not getting the answers he wants. We're going to give a predefined set of status reasons where he wants to talk to a manager. And then there's that field we added earlier. So now that agent has the ability to perform the action to say that we need to escalate this case. We can see the status up at the top has been moved to escalated. So that light orchestration has been triggered in allowing another user to come in, and they'll be able to pick this case up off queue because of that orchestration process. Now, the other thing that happens is that we saw earlier in that push that we actually move that record down to Slack. So I can see that we've also raised that alert in an individual workspace where people are actively working. They're keeping an eye on those, and they're able to then perform those actions where they work, when they work, and as soon as it becomes available to them. Now we're going to go back and we're going to take our other approach of a different case type. So this call center agent could take service requests or booking requests. So we may need to be able to perform another set of actions. So in this case, we've satisfied the problems. James is happy. He's come back and has come to us to look for some information around a trip. So James is going to fly from Boston to San Francisco. He's looking for a flight in the fall. And we can see we ask other pieces of information from him. So the number of passengers and the price that he'd like to pay. So all that information is going to get collected. And then again, because of those integrations we have, that can be submitted to any number of web services via the cloud mesh. So we take a look at that case type, see James here. And again, that information can be presented in any way that takes advantage. We can use this to then find flights, so we can take the information provided and call out to one of those kind of composite flight services that we see in some other demos that we've had for Cooper Airlines. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to get expense approval. So we need to make sure that this is going to exceed the standard budgetary requirements for James. So we're going to submit that out, and we're going to include to make sure we know, what exactly his status is. So that's going to go out. It's going to now be put into a new state where it needs approval, and we can check Slack. And again, that's going to push that request for approval down to the locations where those individuals are working, where that action happens. Now, what we can also do here is we can push that data back into another calling system. So we can use Slack's native capability and typical cloud integrations capability to allow those actions to be fed back in real time to the systems that need to be interconnected. So a really easy way to have that multi-step process work together in a seamless fashion.